followers. PCF today is live on our social media platforms and also Teams. This is our first webinar discussion. We will be sensitizing our followers and the public about the functions and the mandate of Policyholders Compensation Fund. We are looking forward for an interactive session with all of you. And if you have any question, kindly chat us and we will be able to respond to the same. Today, we are privileged to have one of our own, our Deputy Director, Compensation, Mr. Noel Zuma, who will delve on several issues which we have been getting through our social media and also when we are doing sensitization forum. Some of the key topics is going to handle understanding Policyholders Compensation Fund and its role, step-by-step guide to lodging a claim with Policyholders Compensation Fund, understanding the eligibility criteria for compensation, and some of the common FAQs questions we have always been getting. To start with us all, I want to invite Mr. Noel Zuma, our Deputy Director of Compensation. Please kindly introduce yourself to our followers. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome all. As you have heard, my name is Noel Zuma, the Deputy Director in charge of compensation at Policyholders Compensation Fund. Mine is just to welcome you all. Let's have an open discussion. Let's engage and try and in a bit to try and understand more about Policyholders Compensation Fund. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zuma. I know you are very vast. You are the technical person in this PCF. Kindly give us an overview of Policyholders Compensation
Fund. Policyholders Compensation Fund is a state corporation under the Ministry of Treasury and National Planning, formed under Sections 179 of the Insurance Act and operationalized through a legal notice 105 of 2004. Policyholders Compensation Fund began its operation in earnest on 1st January 2005, and with the Retirement Benefit Authority being appointed the first managing trustee of the fund, a position which they held until July 2020, when a first individual substantive managing trustee was appointed. That is just a brief background of Policyholders Compensation from the time of formation.
Thank you, Mr. Zuma. There's this question which is always coming up.
Yes.
What has been the fund doing from 2005 since it was established?
The truth is the fund has been existent since 2005. And however, there were some regulatory prohibitions which the fund encountered in its bid to play its mandate. And like any other international guarantee scheme in the world, the fund is required to come in and compensate. It was required to come in and compensate once an insurer had been declared insolvent and the winding up orders have been granted by the court. However, in the normal operational nature of setup of the industry and our country, it was found out that the proceedings of winding up a company usually take too long. As such, we were able to amend that particular provision to allow the fund to step in immediately an insurer is placed under statutory management or has had its license revoked by the Commissioner of Insurance. These amendments took place in 2019, and that is what enabled now the fund to be able to begin its first ever compensation in the year 2020.
Thank you. And what would we say? What is the main mandate of PCF and how does it contribute to the insurance sector?
The major mandate of PCF is compensation of policyholders and claimants when an insurer has had its license cancelled or has been placed by on statutory management by the Commissioner of Insurance. That is the main mandate, and it has the second there are other mandates. One is participate in statutory management when appointed by the Commissioner of Insurance of those insurance companies that have been found not to be complying with the Insurance Act. Of course, monitor risk profiles of these insurers, which is done in consultation with the Commissioner of Insurance. Another mandate is advise the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Treasury and National Planning on the compensation framework to be followed as pertaining to compensation. And then we have one mandate which is to be able to liquidate an insurer when appointed by the courts to do so. Those are the main mandates of the fund, and the critical role that Policyholders Compensation Fund plays in the insurance sector is to build that confidence. We realize that we realize that the insurance uptake in Kenya is a bit low, and the major reason is because of the mistrust that the public has with insurance companies. However, with PCF being the last resort institution in case these insurance companies fail, we are coming to be able to offer that confidence to consumers of insurance and assure them that in case they take insurance covers with companies and those companies fail, Policyholders Compensation Fund or PCF, we are there to support them.
Thank you. We have had this question every time we have had the sensitization forums. We have had our followers not understanding these two words. What do you mean by statutory management and liquidation in terms of compensation?
Okay. Statutory management refers to the process by which regulators, especially in the insurance sector, from an insurance setup, the regulator in the insurance industry intervenes in the management of an insurance company and appoints a manager to run the affairs of that company for a period of time, which is usually 12 months stipulated in the Act, in the exclusion of the shareholders and the board of directors, in a bid to advise, assess the conditions of that company and advise on the next probable option that should be employed in that within that company. At that point, the company can still go back to doing normal business, but because of certain non-compliances with the Act, then the Commissioner of Insurance has been vested with powers in the Insurance Act to be able to intervene and appoint a manager. Liquidation, on the other hand, refers to a legal process where a company assets are sold and apportioned to the creditors, and the company is wound up. So the major distinction would be that in liquidation, the company cannot go back to business. However, in statutory management, the company can go back to business. Another critical distinction would be, whereas both processes in the Insurance Act are initiated by the Commissioner of Insurance, liquidation process has to be sanctioned by the court, the High Court of Kenya. That would be the distinction.
Thank you. We would also want to know, is policyholders compensation a global practice, or this just happens locally in Kenya?
Policyholders compensation is a global practice, and whereas Kenya, we have been leaders in the process, being founder members of the International Forum for Insurance Guarantee Schemes, which the global acronym for policyholders protection or compensation funds in the world. It is a global practice, and most countries have in the world and in most developed jurisdictions have very elaborate policyholders compensation funds. Kenya being one of them. Unfortunately, in Africa, we remain the only policyholders compensation fund.
Yeah, maybe as a follow-up of the same, I know you have benchmarked with a lot of countries out of the country. Which are some of these countries you have benchmarked with?
In terms of best practices, it is always good to align yourself with the best. Compare yourself with the best out there. So we've been able to, we have a lot of goodwill and relations among the IFIX members, the International Forum members. We have a lot of goodwill, and we've been able to benchmark with Taiwan, benchmarked with Malaysia, benchmarked with Singapore, Thailand, and Canada in terms of practices, and incorporated some of the best practices globally in our day-to-day activities and in the compensation framework.
Thank you. Before we delve into the lodging of the claim, which is a very core business here, as a deputy director in charge of compensation, how is your day like when you come in the morning?
Well, being in charge of the core mandate of the fund is not an easy job. So my day includes, I have the first thing in the day I open up with is we have to have departmental briefs, so that we are able, through those departmental briefs, we are able to do our planning, strategic planning, and realigning all our strategies towards the strategic objective of the organization. It is good to accept the fact that not all insurance companies that come will require the same strategy towards compensation. So the issue of strategy planning is usually continuous. Of course, we also analyze data on the trends. We do a lot of data analysis on the trends. This enables us to be able to predict with accuracy and forecast and do a budget forecasting, which we communicate to the relevant departments. We also do a lot of continuous improvement in processes. We have to make sure that the processes conform to the best standards, and they really talk to the customers we serve. So the continuous monitoring and improvement of the process is a continuous job.
Thank you. You may now, because we have always been getting this question throughout, what is the process of lodging a claim? And in that way, after you process it online, if it is online, have we taken care of the techno survey, or have we taken care of people who cannot really submit that online? And how have we done it as Policyholders Compensation Fund?
As Policyholders Compensation Fund, let me begin from the start, where we began. When we came in, our process was highly manual. It required someone to travel all the way to come and submit a claim form in person, because that is how it was stipulated in law. To the claim form must be lodged in person. So with the government initiative to move all services to an online platform, we've been able to come up with an online platform, an online process which enables people to do their application from the comfort of their homes, from the comfort of their offices, without having to travel all the way. And the process is a really simple process. You just log in into our website, www.pcf.go.ke, and you go to our online services. You'll be able to, it will open for you, and you are able to register. To register, you have to register first. Once you register, in fact, that registration process is critical to us because it always gives us a heat map of who is trying to gain access to us, and where need be we can get back to them. Once you register, it will take you to the online claim form, where you will fill. It guides you very well. You will fill and you attach all required documentation. Once you attach all that documentation, you upload and submit. Once you submit and you've been successful, you will get a notification. It will come to us in the back end, and we will be able to view now your application and process and communicate to you on the process progressively as we go on. On the issue of internet, of those techno savvy, I don't, for me, I don't, and for us as PCF, we tend to believe that Kenya is a highly techno savvy country. In fact, statistics, by using statistics, we have, as of 2024, we have 22.7 million internet users, and about 40 to 41% internet penetration. So I believe, and when I look at the insurance coverage within the industry is around 30%, which is around 13 to 15 million. So it's safe to say almost all insurance consumers are techno savvy. But for the small number that probably is not techno savvy, we've put elaborate measures to take care of them, which include a highly dedicated helpline to serve them, where they can call and be taken by a professional. They have highly qualified staff. They can take them through the compensation process. We have an online tutorial in our website which guides on the step by step. We have also embarked on serious sensitization forums across the country, where we even do demos on how somebody can apply. And for those walk-ins, we give in-person support. And I think it's important for the members of the public and the insurance fraternity to embrace technology, especially for us as organization, as a way of increasing our operational efficiency, especially given the cost implication of moving the services to all the corners of the country. I think technology can solve this problem for us.
Thank you. You took us step by step of the process of lodging the complaint. What are some of the documentations which have to be documented, or if they have to be assigned together on the claim form?
Of course, like any other application, the personal identification documents are critical for identification purposes. You need to attach your ID, your ID if you are and then if you are an institution, you will need to attach probably the company registration documents and all that. You will be required, if you are a policyholder, to have the policy document and the policy number, then the claim number. When you're filling, those are critical primary fields which will require to be filled. Where somebody is applying on behalf of another, then for example, for the case where somebody is deceased, will require proof in the form of a death certificate, and the beneficiary must be legally recognized beneficiary through some letter, a letter of administration. Those are some of the documents. Of course, if it is a motor vehicle, an accident, for example, you will require the police abstract, police abstract, and if it is probably somebody who went to hospital and paid out of pocket, you will need that authorization from the insurer to incur that particular expenditure. So those are the supporting documents somebody is required to attach in order for his claim to be complete.
Thank you. And immediately after someone has launched the complaint, how long does it take? Does it have a time frame?
From the moment that the claim has been lodged, normally we process the claim within 90 days. So the maximum is 90 days. We've been able to process some for much less, but the time frame that is stipulated in our policy guidelines is 90 days.
And after that, do we have any limitations or exclusions to the compensation coverage provided by PCF?
Like any other compensation administration or administration of any kind, you cannot miss an exclusion. So our exclusions are clearly provided for in the Insurance Act. For example, PCF in its compensation administration does not cover premium refunds. It is not part of the protected benefit in our compensation administration. So we do not cover premium refunds. We do not also. There is also the issue of the time issue, where a claim must have been reported by the insurer and admitted within 2 years from the date that company was placed under statutory management. So any claim that is outside that time frame is time barred. We do not cover claims that occurred before the establishment of the fund. That means any claim from 1st January 2005 backwards does not qualify. And we also do not cover any claims of an accident or incident that occurred after the company had its license cancelled or has been placed under statutory management. Because ideally it means at that time that the accident was occurring, the cover was not valid. So those are the exclusions, and they are well prescribed in law. They are guided by the law.
Thank you so much. We have always had this question. How much is the minimum amount PCF pays for an individual claim, and what guides the minimum? In addition to that, if you give them the minimum amount which is stipulated by law, where do they get this follow-up? Where do they go and do the follow-up of the claim?
Probably to answer that, I will have to take you back a little bit in history to tell you when PCF was formed. The minimum amount that was prescribed was 100,000. The minimum compensation maximum compensation was 100,000. That was their maximum amount. However, an actuarial study was done, and it was seen that that amount should be enhanced. And in 2019, the amount was enhanced to 250,000. So at the moment, PCF covers a maximum amount of 250,000 per claim. These amounts are usually subject to an actuarial study, and the actuarial study normally looks at very many intervening factors. One being the average claim size within the industry, that plays a role. The other being the prevailing economic conditions that are there at the moment. We also have to take care of the moral hazard. Because if we then again go ahead and cover the 100% of the claim, then it means insurers and policyholders alike will not carry the duty of doing due diligence. And another aspect people need to appreciate is that this compensation is not the entire claim. It's not PCF taking the responsibility of the failed insurer, to pay the claim. It's just a small token in terms to cushion against the adverse effects of an insurer failure. So another critical way that such amounts are determined is to look at how the funding model of the institution like PCF, whether it is cash backed by the government or it is through contribution of members. Where it is through contribution of members, like what PCF is, then there is need to look at the sustainability of the fund in the long run. So those are some of the components. In terms of the amount that is up and above 250 in any particular claim, PCF will pay its portion of 250 as a cushion against the adverse effect of a failure of an insurer, and take the remaining balance. Let's say the claim was 1 million. So the 750,000 balance will remain in the books of the insurer to be paid at the appropriate time at the liquidation stage. Like I had explained, liquidation is the process of selling off the assets of the company and apportioning it to the creditors. So the policyholder will become one of the creditors and will pay that amount at that point, or at the point when the company is revived. If the company is revived, because statutory management can go either way. If it is revived, then the policyholder is able to be paid the remainder. So that's how the process goes.
Thank you. We are aware the regulator is the one mandated to withdraw a license for an insurance company. When they appoint policyholders compensation fund as statutory management, can you kindly take us through the takeover process now of a company which their license has been through withdrawn?
Thank you. The regulator, under the Insurance Act Section 67C1, is mandated to intervene in the affairs of an insurance company. And part of the intervention is the appointment of a manager, which is now in Section 67C2. Once the regulator withdraws the license of an insurer and places it under statutory management, then and appoints us as the statutory manager, then we have to move in and take over the running of the affairs of the insurer, to the exclusion of the shareholders and the board and the management. And it is quite a tedious task when taking over. Some of the immediate action as a statutory manager is to make sure you move in and safeguard the assets, critical installation, the branches, the ICT infrastructure, the bank mandates. You also need to give a public notice to the members of the public that this company is now under statutory management and they're the one in charge. You have to issue immediately a moratorium to protect policyholders from being pursued by third parties. Then you have to uh, move in and do get a full handover from the principal officer, and basically to take charge of the affairs of this company totally.
Thank you so much. Maybe some of the followers would want to know, is Policyholders Compensation Fund the only body which can be appointed as statutory manager by the regulator?
As the act is currently, the Commission of Insurance has the prerogative to appoint any person as a statutory manager. I would say PCF, or Policyholders Compensation Fund, is not the de facto statutory manager, but in practice, since 2015, for reasons for reasons well known and guided by the Commissioner, he has been appointing policyholders.
Session as an institution or as PCF, what challenges have you encountered along the way in relation to carrying out PCF mandate?
As I have elaborated, you've realized we've come a long way from 2005 to where we are today, and we've been able to mitigate some of the challenges, but they still remain as we continue to grow into the practice and into as an institution. One of the biggest challenges, of course, legal framework and legal prohibitions, which time and again prohibit probably the fund from carrying out its mandate to the full to its full potential. That has been key. Of course, in the past we didn't have the compensation experience, but now I would say we have a little bit of compensation experience, and from the experience we have been able to document some of the challenges that we've had, that we are having, and we are working towards addressing them. Of course, capacity challenges cannot go without saying. We have lean staff, and as you've seen, the the tasks that and in our mandate are huge and require numbers and quite diverse expertise. So those are probably some of the challenges that I might highlight.
Yeah, thank you so much. And maybe going to maybe the last question, of course, we'll come to our followers, some of the questions they have asked. Where do you see PCF in the next 10 years?
Our vision is to be a premier policyholder compensation fund. I think that is our vision, and I'm sure that is the vision we share as PCF. For institutions of our nature, it is to grow to become a risk minimizer within the industry, and by that we will be able to become a full resolution authority, where we will have powers to be able to intervene in companies that insurance companies that are facing challenges and problems much earlier, and be able to avert the failures and reduce them to a bare minimum. That would be a very good plus for PCF, and it's where I'm seeing us going. And of course, to grow the compensation coverage to be able to give probably 99 or 100% compensation coverage to policyholders of failed insurance companies. So I see PCF going to great lengths and playing this role and becoming a very critical player and stabilizer within the insurance industry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Noel Zuma. That was a very, very educative and a very interactive session with our followers. I'm very sure they have followed. We have a question here from Kevin Etabale, who is asking, how can he go about Explico? He has a pending case with Explico, and maybe what are we doing about Explico company compensation?
We are aware that Explico is currently under statutory management and in our purview, and we want to assure our customers that we will be communicating soon on the onset of compensation. There are some internal processes we are finalizing, and in the very near future we'll be issuing a public notice beginning the process of compensation of resolution. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, of Explico.
Okay. I can see James Karani raising his hand. James Karani, can you continue? Yeah, maybe we can try to get James Karani so that we can listen to him. What maybe he has a concern. Mr. James Karani, can you hear me? James Karani, are you on? Maybe you can give us your question. Please ask your question, Mr. James Karani, if you can hear me. Okay, maybe you can chat. Please chat us so that we are able to respond to you. I also have a compliment here from Mr. Gichuki Mushemi, who is saying policyholders compensation fund is doing a fantastic work.
Thank you.
And we believe we are going to do good work so that we can also be able to continue sensitizing the public, our stakeholders, our followers, using all channels of communication. As the Deputy Director, Mr. Noel Zuma, has said before, we have been also doing some sensitization. We are having a sensitization forum, which we have dubbed PCF Mtaani, where we are hoping to cover the whole country, all the 47 counties, as well as social media platforms where we keep on sensitizing our stakeholders, the public, so that they are able to know the functions and the mandate of Policyholders Compensation Fund. So if you have any question, please continue asking us. We are on, we are live. Mr. Noel Zuma is here waiting for your questions, your interaction, so that we can be able to educate on all the areas or all the challenges maybe you may be having. Yeah, I can see James Karani is typing. Welcome, James Karani. Just continue typing. We'll be able to take your concern, and we will be able to respond to you. Maybe in the meantime, as we wait for James to type that question, maybe I can give you our contacts, how to contact us. Policyholders Compensation Fund, we are hosted at KWFT Center, that is in Upper Hill, 6th floor, Masaba Kiambere Road Junction in Upper Hill. And our telephone numbers are 0111 121 700, and the other alternative line is 0794 582 700. You can also reach us on our email, that is info@pcf.go.ke, as well as you can log into our website, that is www.pcf.go.ke. Our Facebook platform is PCF Kenya, as well as our Twitter, well, that is X at PCF_Kenya. We have this question from James Karani. Thank you, James, for interacting with us. Mr. Zuma, James is asking, what happens in cases where there was a partial payment and the documents in his position are letters without claim numbers? And he has given us a reference of Explico company. What happens? He wants to know what would happen in such a case. Thank you, James.
Thank you, James. Where in cases where we have partial payment, then you will claim for the partial amount that is remaining, and that is the one that PCF will be able to consider for compensation. And normally, even if you don't have the claim number, what you can do is call our helpline and give the details, and they will be able to get you the claim number and to assist you get the claim number so that you are able to lodge your claim with us. So it's not a problem. We get to understand that there are instances where you might not have the claim number, but that's why we have the helpline there to support you to be able to get those details, probably which you are not able to get. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I hope I have answered him satisfactorily. And if there is any follow-up question, probably you can ask.
Thank you. He has even responded. Thank you for the response. So I believe he's well informed now what happens. Thank you so much, James, for your interaction. And in case of any maybe any challenge, we are here. You can come to our office. You can call us through our numbers, which I've just given you, so that we will be able to assist you so that everything moves smoothly. Thank you so much. Maybe we can have your parting shot, Mr. Zuma.
Thank you. Just as a parting shot, mine is to instill confidence to all the public out there. We still have work to do in the insurance industry, but we cannot do it without them. We need to increase our uptake of insurance products. We need to safeguard ourselves against risks, and insurance is a good way to do that. So they should not be afraid. They should know at the end of the day, if that insurer which has offered them cover has had some few problems, PCF will be there to hold their hands, and as such they should not be scared to take up insurance. Secondly is to call upon policyholders. We are currently doing compensation for policyholders of Blue Shield Insurance Company. So mine is to call on them, anybody who has a claim, to lodge it with us so that we are able to compensate them. Those who probably have queries, come forward. We are ready to support you. We are ready to answer to your to listen to you and answer to your queries. And for the people who have had claims with Explico, don't be worried. Very soon we will be issuing a public notice on the onset of compensation of Explico insurance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Noel Zuma, our Deputy Director Compensation, and I'm very sure we have taken our followers through. I would just want to emphasize that we should all log in to our social media platforms. We have a lot to learn. As well, we interact with our website. We have quite a lot of information where we can also learn more about Policyholders Compensation Fund. This has been a good afternoon, and thank you, and I wish you a good afternoon. Your moderator was Rosemary Kavili, Deputy Director, Corporate Communication. Thank you.